Hello and welcome to Mail Unleashed. This is a series of occasional conversations in which I get to indulge myself by talking to some of the leading figures in marketing and direct marketing about their experiences in general, their view of the future, and in particular their experience of using direct mail. And today we're fantastically privileged to be joined by Seema Kumari. So welcome, Seema. Seema is currently the chair of the PPA's subscription committee. For those of you who don't know, the PPA is the Periodical Publishers Association. I think I got that right, didn't I?
You did, yes.
And also is effectively head of subscriptions and direct marketing and quite a few other things for Hearst Publications. Now, a few of our listeners may have heard of William Randolph Hearst, possibly better known as Citizen Kane, who was the founder of the Hearst publishing empire. What are the main kind of publications that come under your remit?
Yeah, so Hearst, we publish 20 brands across digital and print. So you've probably heard of all of them. So Cosmopolitan, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Good Housekeeping, some key leading brands, global brands, which keeps us all very busy.
I can just imagine, and you actually have to maintain subscription revenue, both physical and digital subscriptions.
Correct. Yes, correct, yes, across all the brands.
It's worth noting that particularly those categories in which you operate, print is holding up really well, isn't it? There's this completely mistaken narrative that print is dying. Now, it's true to say, no one's denying that daily newspapers have taken a hit because instantaneous news is available in lots of other forms. But it seems to me that actually quality periodical print is actually, I mean, it's barely taken a hit. Is that fair? In terms of readership and general penetration?
I think that's a fair assumption. I mean, some of our brands are still seeing print growth year on year. And I think for some brands, especially the luxury brands, you can't convey the message in digital. So if there's an ad for a beautiful designer bag, it somehow has more value when it's in print because it looks beautiful when you're flicking that page. So, I think print is definitely here to stay. We've been hearing this for many years. Print is dead, print is dead. No, it's not. And it's just a different way of reading content. And actually, someone who's digital through and through, I love that print magazine. There's something that differentiates your screen time to actually sitting down with a cup of tea, reading that magazine, that me time. We all know that reading reduces stress by 66%. So what a great way then to be reading about positive news and content, which is what our magazines provide.
And increasingly, people have probably had enough goddamn screen time by the time they get home. It's worth noting also that a great magazine of that kind is a beautiful object in and of itself. It's partly something to read, it's partly actually interior decor. It serves multiple functions.
Absolutely. It looks great on the coffee table, doesn't it?
Obviously, you're again hugely dependent on the mail medium still. Although what I think is interesting about what you do is you've almost kind of, because your remit covers both digital subscription hunting for both digital and print subscriptions, you've created a kind of programmatic mail system. So obviously we normally hear the word programmatic and we associate it with digital marketing only, pure play digital marketing. Tell me more about programmatic direct mail.
Yeah, so before I get into programmatic, it's probably important that I just zoom out and talk about the traditional DM that everyone thinks about today. So the traditional DM was very much about the bash and blast, little personalisation, and it was all about the numbers. How many people can we send a mailer to? I think fair to say, in the 90s, we were probably receiving more DM than emails. And it did have a negative connotation because it was often perceived as junk mail because everything kind of goes through waves and phases. And I think now it's come out the other end as something that, going on to programmatic mail, it isn't a bash and blast. It's a DM that's triggered based on an action that the customer has made, therefore making it more relevant.
Perfect, yeah.
So we work with paper planes for our programmatic DM. So they have a pixel on our website, and when the customer abandons their journey, then a DM is automatically triggered. Rory, you're on our site, you're logged in, and we know you're on our site browsing, I don't know, some magazines, and we then trigger a letter to be sent to you because we know that you are showing a high intent and you're on our site, so you're on there for a reason. It could be a bit further along in the journey, so you're in our checkout, someone's at the door, and you've abandoned your journey, and that will trigger, you know,
How quickly would it be triggered? Let's say I were browsing Good Housekeeping extensively. How quickly will that probably trigger a mailing?
So we trigger it after 24 hours. The reason being is because we have, so our programmatic DM is part of an omni-channel recovery series.
Yeah.
And it's best used when you're using other channels because they all work together. So I call it friends with benefits. So if you take email and direct mail, they really work well together. So email on its own and DM on its own, absolutely they work, but fuse them together and magic happens.
Yeah, they multiply. It's not additive as you'd think. It's actually multiplicative, isn't it, the influence?
Yes.
Do you tend to leave direct mail till slightly later? Or I mean, obviously it's going to take 24 hours to arrive. One of the great things about DM, I always said, is because it's probably the most potent and least likely to be ignored communication. I always said, if you can't make DM work for you, maybe it's your product that's the problem, not the medium.
Yeah, the way we're working it, I mean, there's so many ways to slice and dice it. So it could be that it's a follow-up to the email.
Yeah.
We like to have it all integrated so it works together because actually, you know, we've seen all the research. Average DM sits in the household for 17 days.
Yeah.
And actually, what a better time to be sending emails in those 17 days, because if that letter is sitting on your coffee table, receiving that free impression every day that you're not paying for, and then there's emails that are following up, you know, that customer might not take the action with the direct mail, but they might do with the email. And I think this is where measurement is so key, because often DM is undervalued because of the way marketers are measuring the impact of it from a last click point of view.
So quite often the response is triggered by the DM, but it's not attributable, you think?
Exactly, because they might have gone on to Google and done a search coming through our PPC or coming through organic or through our Facebook ad. And actually, when you then put those metrics together, completely change the shape of the campaign.
And then 6 months out, you realise that 50% more people were actually ending up as subscribers than you previously thought.
Yeah, which, you know, as I said, it changes the whole shape of that analysis and actually creates a good business case to be doing more of this because of the halo effect that DM has.
You brought along a couple of campaigns that have a particular resonance for you, that have a particular meaning. Would you like, we always make it a bit of a tradition of these events for the guests to share them. What are your two?
The ones that really stood out for me are the ones where they sent me something extra. So I really like the White Company. So every November, October, they send me a catalogue with all their great stuff, you know, recognising that I'm a loyal customer, you know, with a discount. And a nice code with a discount so it feels special. It's something I can tear off and take into the shop. And that catalogue, I'm probably one of those people where it stays in the house for 17 days, but you know, it stays on my coffee table because I know I want to look at it, and it drives me in store as well. And it's great timing as well, because even if I'm not in the market for myself, we know that candles make a great Christmas gift.
Yeah. Oh God, you're on for that. I've got a wife and two daughters. You're bringing back total trauma of, but it's a candle. Why is it £47? Don't worry. Okay, I've got over it now. I'm recovering. Breathe in, breathe out. Carry on. Sorry. Yes.
So if it's not candles, I'd say chocolate.
Yep.
So two of my favourite things. So Hotel Chocolat send a beautiful catalogue every year to me as well. And again, it's brilliant because they really amplify their marketing around Christmas. So guaranteed, when I receive that DM with the catalogue, every magazine I'm opening, each time I'm watching TV, there's this integrated campaign that really works with the DM.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I probably see that brand about 15, 20 times in the space of a few weeks because I'm constantly exposed to all the messages. And again, a lovely little catalogue that sits on my table. I know to grab it when I'm about to send gifts, corporate gifts, etc., etc. It's just, you know, it always works a treat.
I mean, I see the time when, not necessarily to the same scale, but both Argos and IKEA bring back catalogues in some shape or form. Because it strikes me that, yes, okay, they've made the case that the future is moving online, but actually the long-term effects of abandoning those physical things completely strikes me as probably a bit mistaken.
I 100% agree. When I found out that Argos were removing the catalogue or printing a very few,
Yeah.
I was actually really upset.
That's a bit bereft, I agree.
It was like this loss, mainly because of the association, I think. As a child, the Argos book, I'd go in there, I'd circle what I want for Christmas and my birthday, and you know, it would be a permanent feature in the home. And would I just walk into Argos to buy something? No.
No.
Would I look in that catalogue if it was there? Absolutely.
I think you made an interesting point because, of course, Hearst is effectively a premium stable of brands. You've mentioned the White Company, you've mentioned Hotel Chocolat. I think there's a particular renaissance of direct mail and direct marketing among those kind of upmarket brands, which I think is interesting.
Yes.
Well, Seema Kumari, thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute joy having you on. I'm a long, passionate lover of the whole subscription business, which I think is fascinating. So all I can say is thank you very much. But if you want to know more, why not go to marketreach.co.uk, where you can find even more ways to really unleash the power of the mail medium. So until next time, thank you, and thank you very much indeed.